Hi kindergarten friends, I would like to share with you a very neat book. It's called Ant Cities and it tells us a fascinating world about ants that sometimes we don't see. We just see ants crawling around all over the place, but they are really doing lots of different jobs, and underneath an anthill is pretty amazing. Let's find out about it. Have you ever seen ants busily running over a dirt hill on a hill? They may look like they're just running around, but ants build that hill to live in, and each ant has work to do. Some ants may disappear into a small hole in the hill. The hole is the door to their nest. These are harvester ants. Their nest is made out of lots of rooms and tunnels. These little insects make them all. Underneath the hill, there are many miles of tunnels and hundreds of rooms. The floors are worn smooth by thousands of ants. It is dark inside the nest, but the ants stay cozy. Interesting. So some of these little words here says, when it is sunny, the top of the nest gets warm, and when it rains, the rain runs off the hill. If it gets too wet near the top of the nests, the ants move to below. And in the winter, ants hibernate in a deep room away from the cold. They stay together in a ball to keep warm. In the rooms of the nest, the worker ants do many different kinds of work. It is like a city, a busy city of ants. Some of the ants have brought in food to the ant city. These are harvester ants, like seeds. A worker ant cracks the husk off the seeds, and another worker will take the husks outside to throw away. The ants chew the seeds to get the juices out. Then they feed the juices to the other ants. Other workers store seeds for the ants to eat at another time. Not all ants store food, but these harvester ants do. In one room of the nest, a queen ant lays eggs. The workers carry the eggs away to other rooms to take care of them. Each ant city has to have at least one queen. Without a queen, there would be no ant city. All the other ants in the ant city grow from the eggs that the queen lays. At first, the tiny eggs grow into larvae. The worker ants feed the larvae and lick them clean so that they will grow well. And then they grow into a pupae. The workers keep grooming until they grow into adults. The queen ant lays thousands and thousands of eggs. Most of the eggs grow into worker ants. There may be only one queen ant in an ant city, but there can be many thousands of workers. This is a worker ant. Workers are all female ants. They do work in the ant city, and they will also fight to protect the nests. And the queen ant is usually bigger than the other ants. There are also ants that turn into new queens. The new queens have wings. They use them to fly away and to try to start new ant cities. Their wings drop off, and then the queen lays eggs. And then the male ants don't live in the nest for long. They fly away with the new queens to mate, and then they die. The queen ant doesn't tell the workers what to do, but the workers are busy. Each ant has work to do. Ants work together to keep the whole ant city alive. So these are worker ant resting. This is the winter room where they hibernate. This is an ant carrying dirt out of the nest. These are carrying eggs to the nursery. This is an ant bringing food down into the anthill. These are where some seeds are being stored. And this ant here is digging a new tunnel. And These are the ants on the outside of the anthill. Workers make the nest bigger by digging new rooms and tunnels. They use their feet to dig like tiny dogs. Workers pick up pieces of dirt in their jaw and beards and carry them outside. Dirt from the digging is what makes an anthill. Ants are great diggers and builders. Imagine all the tiny pieces of dirt it takes to build an anthill that is 2 feet high. These harvester anthills can be 2 feet high and 6 feet across, and many other ants build smaller hills. Out around the harvester anthill, workers look for food. Harvester ants mostly eat seeds, but sometimes they eat insects too. Ants can bite and sting other insects to capture them or to protect themselves. Be careful, some kind of ants can bite or sting you too. Harvester ants will bite or sting if you disturb their nest. Ants use their antennae to help them find food. They touch and smell with their antennae. Ants also talk to each other by touching their antennae. If one ant finds food, others follow. Soon there will be lots of ants carrying away lunch. If one ant can't carry something, others may help, but each worker ant is very strong. An ant can lift as much as 50 times its own weight. If people could lift like that, we could lift a car. The workers carry the food back to the ant city, and ants share the food that they find. Ants eat many types of food, but different kinds of ants like different food, and there are over 10,000 different types of ants. So here is a picture of some different types of ants. The cornfield ants like to eat sweet juices or honeydew they get from aphids. Aphids suck the juices from plants, and then the ants milk the aphids for the honeydew. Carpenter ants like sweet juices that they can get from insects and also plants too. Thief ants eat sweets and other food that they find in people's houses or anything lying about. Leaf cutter ants make underground gardens with the leaves that they cut, and they grow mushrooms in their gardens for food. And army ants travel in large groups like armies, and they like to eat huge numbers of insects, including termites. The different kinds of ants have found many ways to make their cities, so they can live in many kinds of places. Janitor ants make their nest out of hollowed out tree twigs, and soldier janitor ants, a kind of worker ant, has a big plug-shaped head it can use for a door. Many kinds of ants make hills or mounds. If you haven't seen harvester ant hills, maybe you've seen the rounded top hills that formica ants make. Sometimes they cover their hills with thatch. Or you may have seen pavement ants. They can live under the sidewalk. They are tiny ants. They're 1/8 of an inch long. Harvester ants are about 1/4 of an inch long, and some ants can be as big as 2 inches long. These carpenter ants are building their nest in rotted wood. There are small ant cities with just a few ants, and there are big ant cities with many, many ants. Ants have been found at the tops of the highest buildings and on ships at sea. Ants can make their cities almost anywhere. Look around and you'll probably find an ant city busy with ants. So that's the end of the book. I am going to task you with this weekend, or when you have a chance to go outside, to find an ant colony or a group of ants and see if you can see where they live. Now, you don't want to disturb it because that's their house. But it's pretty interesting to watch. And I'm also going to take a photo of this. This is how you can make, to see ants for a long time, you can make a little area that they can live in for a little bit and you can see how they dig the tunnels. So it's called an ant farm. So you can watch the ants for a while, and then you can put them back out in nature.